new information from one Grand Valley State University professor, Paul Isley, and our very own Madalyn Buursma sat down yesterday to talk about all things related to both business and the economy, dealing with the passing of the Big Beautiful Bill, the latest on tariffs and inflation, and so much more. We have that interview for you right now, again, with our very own Madalyn Buursma and Professor Paul Isley of GVSU.
Well, today we have Professor Paul Isley with the Seidman College of Business at GVSU. Professor, welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so of course a big topic of news these past couple months has been the Big Beautiful Bill. Tell me a bit about that and what impact do you think that will have on West Michigan consumers?
Yeah, at least in the short run, we don't expect a very big effect at all because we expect that that many of the portions of this bill really are a little bit further out in the future. But it does a couple of things. It cuts taxes on several groups of people, and then it decreases some benefits elsewhere. So it creates some work requirements for Medicaid and for SNAP. So it will make it harder to get food benefits and harder to get medical benefits. So we would expect some savings from that. And then it cuts taxes on, or really keeps the tax cuts that were already in place from the first Trump presidency in place. So as a result, there's a little bit more money to spend on investing in those types of things. So there's a trade-off happening there. The bill, as it's contained, will end up increasing the budget deficit, all right? And so we would expect that it will add several $1 trillion to the debt over the next 10 years, all right? And so we know that that is also an effect that we had hoped wouldn't happen with this.
So what type of impact are local businesses looking at? Like, is this going to be good for business in the area? Are they going to be having to take a closer look at their numbers here?
Well, what it will do is it will continue to put pressure upward on interest rates. So for businesses that need to borrow money, it's going to make it a little bit more expensive because the government will be competing for those borrowed funds with businesses. On the other hand, particularly mid-high to high-level, high-income people will have more money to spend. So if you're generating luxury goods or if you're doing retail, those might have more money to spend in those locations. So it really depends on which group you're in. In reality, here in West Michigan, what's kept us slow is uncertainty about the direction of automotive. And so we're really spending a lot of time looking at that. And this bill doesn't affect that much.
So then if you're an automaker, what are some of the biggest things you're worried about now? Is it tariffs? Is it the bill? What are some of the things that they're looking at right now? Probably a lot of things.
A lot of things. So the tariffs certainly are affecting how the supply chain is working in automotive. And as a result, it's making it difficult for them sometimes to get the things they need. And sometimes those things are more expensive. And sometimes they can resource it into the United States and they can produce it just fine. So, but all of that has required that the leadership of the automotive companies are spending all of their time reacting to the changes in tariffs and not spending their time thinking about how do I make cars better. The second thing that we have to worry about with those is the regulations on EVs versus gasoline cars. And because those keep moving around, the automakers don't know what type of car to build, and consumers really don't know what type of car to buy. And so that's slowing down car purchases. And so we had a bubble of car purchases earlier this year as people tried to get ahead of the tariffs. But now we're having a bit of a slowdown there, and we aren't selling as many cars, and those prices are starting to go up for new cars because of the impacts of those tariffs.
And so now turning to inflation, of course, there's some big news about inflation today. Tell me a bit about that and what impact that might have on consumers and businesses in West Michigan.
Sure, we saw inflation continue to stay relatively elevated. It didn't It didn't go up as much as many feared. And so we're really looking at inflation at a little bit less than 3%. The bad news is that over the year, the bad news is people's incomes are going up slower than that, particularly their take-home pay, because their wages are going up not quite as fast as inflation, but they're also losing the number of hours they get to work. All right. So the combination of those two things means that the ability for consumers to purchase things went down this month compared to what happened last month. That's going to be bad news. We're already seeing consumers change the way they purchase things. They're going down into lower priced goods. They're buying generic goods more often. They're looking for sales. They're not going out to eat as much. All of that has affected businesses here in West Michigan, as we've seen restaurants go out of business, and we've seen shifts around things such as firms such as Kellogg looking for ways to remain competitive in today's world, which has included combining with other companies.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Isley, for taking the time to speak with me today. It's always great chatting with you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And great stuff from Madalyn as well as Professor Isley. I want to thank them both so much for allowing us to showcase this on the Daily 8. And of course, we do have more information from that interview that you can check out right now over on our website, woodtv.com.